Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived north of Whoville did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. He didn't know God loved him. That was the reason.
He thought that Christians' heads weren't screwed on just right.
He thought they were crazy and looked for a fight.
God doesn't love me and God doesn't care. These hypocritical Christians keep their hands in the air, worshiping Jesus who doesn't exist. It's just an excuse to buy shiny new gifts.
I think the real reason, the one most of all, was that the Grinch's heart was 2 sizes too small. Broken and battered as the years gone by, with him thinking Jesus is all just a lie.
But whatever the reason, the presents or ruse, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town.
For he knew every who down in Whoville beneath
was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're setting out presents.
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow's Christmas. It's practically here.
Then he growled, the Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That was the one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise.
Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast. And they'd feast. And they'd feast, feast, feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which is something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they would do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small,
would stand close together with church bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand and the Who's would start singing.
And they'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing.
And they'd sing, 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 sing.
And the more the Grinch thought
of this Who Christmas sing,
the more the Grinch thought.
Why must stop this whole thing? Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. But how?
Then he got an idea.
An awful idea.
The Grinch got a wonderful,
awful idea.
I know just what I'll do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat, and he chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer is scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No! He simply said,
if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called a dog Max and took some red thread and tied a big horn to the top of his head. He loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and hitched up old Max.
Giddy up, Max, pull the sleigh on down to the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
You're cynical, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of ignorance, distresses in your soul, Mr. Grinch. You won't know how to love until you're made whole. You're a wicked one, Mr. Grinch. You have a devilish smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Between the two of you, the kindness is the seasick crocodile. You're a wild one, Mr. Grinch.
You're nasty, prickly thorn. Your heart is full of hatred. Your is full of scorn, Mr. Grinch. If you make a change in your life, you can find yourself reborn.
You're a wrong one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a child of God the Father, Christ the Lord, and Holy Spirit too, Mr. Grinch. You're loved by the whole wide world, and that includes every last who.
These stockings, I say, are the first things to go. These people say that they're Christian. They say that they try. And why do they argue, steal, blaspheme, and lie? They do what they want every Saturday night. Wake up on Sunday and think they're all right. This season, right here, is a perfect example of how greedy they are. Just look at the sample.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room, he took every present.
Popguns and bicycles,
Roller skates, drums,
checkerboards, tricycles.
popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, the Grinch very nimbly. Stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney.
He slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. Took the Who's pudding. He took the rare roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox, quick as a flash. Why even the Grinch even took the last can of Who hash?
I've stuffed all the food up the chimney. Yippee! And now it's time to stuff up the tree.
The Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove.
The Grinch turned around fast then, noticed a pair of little goes who should not have been there.
What's going on here? They should be a-snoozing. It's Christmas Eve. This is so confusing. Look a bit closer. See what they're doing.
But the Grinch couldn't believe the sight that he was viewing. The little two girls were kneeled by their beds.
But vintage of sugar plums weren't in their hands. Instead, they were praying.
Oh dear, I'll just blink my eyes and it'll disappear. Little kids are not thankful. They're full of disgrace. Oh well, while I'm here, I'll just grab that vase.
But he paused as he heard one little girl squeak and listened for the voice, quiet and weak. And one more thing, Jesus, we've already prayed, thanking you for all the great things you have made. And we thank you for dying and being our Savior, and ask that you forgive all our misbehavior. But if we may, we have one more request. Is the Grinch, dear Lord? I'm sure you have guessed. Some people say that he's no good, that he's a mean mischief maker, that he's a villain, a scoundrel, a deadbeat, a taker. And others, they say he doesn't know you, Lord. But some say he used to believe, but then grew bored. Or maybe he's confused. He doesn't understand your grace, your compassion, your mercy so grand. Help his eyes to be open, his spirits to grow, so that he may have the same love we already know.
The Grinch paused for a moment, then caught a deep voice.
So this Grinch has a choice?
The girls looked around, but they didn't see anyone. So that mean Grinchy Claus decided to have some fun.
Don't look around. I'm up here. It's me, God. I have been listening to you talk as you pull and you prod. The Grinch's business is his own, as is yours, can't you see? If you're praying for more presents, you're barking up the wrong tree.
The tiny Who daughters were unsure to be said, so they quickly said,
Amen.
and jumped into bed.
The Grinch looked around with a smirk on his face, and he started to make his way out of that place.
The last thing he took was a log for the fire. He went up the chimney himself, the old liar. He left nothing but some hooks and some wire.
And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Then he did the same to other Who mouses.
Crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
The Grinch strolled past the front lawn of the St. Brigid Catholic Church. Looking for goodies, he began to search.
There's nothing good here outside this old construction.
He scanned the front porch and began his abduction.
For the flowers and rugs, I will make space, but not for the nativity. Ugh, what a waste.
It was dawn. All the Who's still abed, all the Who's still snooze, And he packed up his sled, packed it up tight with the presents, the wrappings, the ribbons, the tags, and the tinsels, the trappings.
3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. He rolled his load to the top to dump it.
Pooh, pooh to the who.
He was grinchiously humming.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then all the who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That noise, I say, that noise I simply must hear.
So the Grinch paused and put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low and it started to grow.
But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. His eyes popped, and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise.
Every who dead in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing without any presents at all. He had to stop Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same.
Thank you, dear Lord, for your gifts from above.
You sent down your Son, full of goodness and love.
And through him you've shown us a better way of living.
A way to eventually join you in heaven.
And the Grinch's feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
He puzzled 3 hours until his puzzle was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe this season doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more.
And then, well, in who they say, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. He bowed his head and offered a prayer. The Grinch found salvation right then and there. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast feast.
So if anyone here wants what I found, grab Father Herberto and come right on down.
A long, long time ago, the people had to go to sing and song and song. There's no to say that Jesus on that day. The shepherds came to tell them that Jesus Christ is born. He is born, he is born, Jesus Christ is born. It's the time to celebrate that Jesus Christ is born. He is born, he is born. Jesus Christ is born. Merry Christmas, everyone, when Jesus Christ is born. It was long ago, but even as a show, I know one thing to be, to die and sympathy. The world does rejoice, and with my family voice, and with brothers and everyone, that Jesus Christ is born. He is born, he is born, Jesus Christ is born. It's the time to celebrate that Jesus Christ is born. He is born, he is born, Jesus Christ is born. Merry Christmas, everyone, because Jesus Christ is born.
You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the seasick crocodile.
Oh, hi there. Could I interest you in some coffee? Maybe hot chocolate to keep you warm? Shouldn't be too cold out here tonight, but still, something toasty to wrap your hands around is always good. I'm out here in our little town square pretty much all year round. I carry whatever the season calls for. Everything from sparklers and balloons for the 4th of July to these snazzy star Christmas beamers. Since I retired from my full-time job, this is a great way to make extra money. The other perk, well, aside from the fresh air and the exercise, is watching the people. I get to know them pretty well. The ones who come out here every day for lunch. The ones who are just taking a breather from the hospital down the street. Or the ones like that poor woman over there. We're getting ready for our annual town Christmas extravaganza, and she's the stage manager. Doesn't look like she's having a wonderful time right now, does it?
Okay, cue the lights, cue the kids who are hanging the decorations on the tree. The choir is ready to go. Let's do it, people!
Dashing through the snow.
love those songs, don't you? I mean, they just say Christmas to me. Hey, great job.
On our way, do our best to make it in time. Do our best. Heads up, everybody. Our little drummer boy is missing in action, but he's on his way. Can somebody find me a kid? Any kid, just to stand in for the lighting. ETA is 15 minutes. I'd say let's just move on.
Just hearing that song brings back memories of a night several years ago. That evening, sort of the same thing happened. The little drummer boy didn't show up. I think it was something about sticking a Lego up his nose. I don't remember exactly, but that led to one unforgettable night. You see, there was a woman and her little boy in the square that night. They had just come out of the bus terminal over there. I remember it because I watched it all unfold. I could tell when I saw them that they really didn't know where they were going. But somehow the stage manager for the pageant noticed them too.
Would your son mind standing in for the little drummer boy?
The costume looked like a perfect fit.
All you have to do is wear a costume and pretend to play the strum.
The mother was a little taken aback, being new in town and all, and she hesitated. It turned out her little boy was deaf. There was a device that could help him hear, a cochlear implant. Sure, they're pretty common now, but they were experimental back then. Her insurance wouldn't approve it. But she had read an article about a doctor who was doing the implant on kids her son's age right here in our town. So she just quit her job and gotten on a bus with her son and came here. She had no idea how she was going to meet the doctor, or even how she would begin to pay for the surgery. But at least she was in the right place. Like Mary and Joseph, she made the journey simply on faith, knowing that God would help her when she got here.
Sometimes faith will take you to trust a promise that's illogical. Sometimes faith will lead you to cling to hopes that seem impossible. So often faith seems foolish, a leap into the dark, but that's not how it is for the believing heart. 'Cause when all your dreams have fallen through and your plans come crashing in on you, don't lose hope no matter how it seems. 'Cause faith will hold you closer. Faith will keep you safer. Faith will take you farther than you dream. Doubt will always whisper, there's no one there to catch you when you fall. Fear will often rob you of any chance to see a miracle. So trust the one who loves you, whose word won't let you down. 'Cause resting in his arms is where your strength is found. 'Cause when all your dreams have fallen through and your plans come crashing in on you, don't lose hope no matter how it seems. 'Cause faith will hold you closer. Faith will keep you safer. Faith will take you farther than you dream. And when all your dreams come falling through and your plans come crashing in on you, don't lose hope no matter how it seems. 'Cause faith will hold you closer. Faith will keep you safer. Faith will take you farther than you dream. Farther than you
There was someone else in the square that night. He was a newspaper man. Years of covering stories about the cruel and ugly things that folks do to one another had really taken a toll on him. The fact that his wife had become a follower of Jesus just made it harder. It was like the more she believed, the more he doubted God existed at all. Just that day, his doubts had gotten worse. If there were a God, wouldn't that God have shown him love instead of giving him more heartache that he didn't think he could handle? he would never have admitted it. But he was searching that night, just like the shepherds. He would never have said he was seeking salvation. But like the shepherds, that Christmas Eve brought him right to the place he needed to be. So I've told you about the woman and her little boy and the reporter. Oh yes, there was at least one other person who figured into this story. Someone else who was facing a crisis. She was involved in the Christmas program. Even though her schedule was busy and demanding, she always carved out time for the Christmas choir because she loved Jesus and she loved to sing. Her name was, well, let's just call her Mary, because that night she was playing the part of the mother of Jesus. No one knew, but just that morning, Mary had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She hadn't told anyone, except her husband. The last thing she wanted was to have the focus of the evening on her instead of on the message that was being presented. So she just smiled as though nothing were wrong and sang just like she always did, knowing that in the days ahead she would be facing chemo and surgery to save her life. So there they were, 4 people, a desperate mother and a little boy, a man searching for answers and meaning and hope, a woman of faith clinging to the God she had recently come to trust. Somehow, God brought all of them to the manger. I'd say deliverance is exactly the right word to describe what each of these people I've told you needed. After the scene at the manger was over, Mary took the little drummer boy by the hand to make sure he got back to his mother. The two women began to talk, and the story about the little boy's need for the cochlear implant all came out. Mary listened intently. Now that reporter, well, he had overheard the conversation between the two women. And then, even though he considered himself hard-nosed and completely objective, he couldn't help but talk to Mary. He knew her, maybe better than anyone else. You see, Mary was his wife. He knew her maybe better than anyone else. You see, Mary was his wife. The busy schedule she kept was as a celebrated surgeon at the local hospital. The very surgeon that the little boy's mother had come to find. Big coincidence, huh?
Mary, what are you going to do?
I'm going to give that little boy the surgery he needs.
Even if it means postponing a cancer treatment? I can't believe what you were thinking. You would be willing to risk your own life for this?
What about you? You have the means to let everyone in town know about this need. If you wanted to, you could mobilize the entire community to reach out and help this mother and her son. What are you going to do?
lessons of that Christmas Eve program still echo in this town. The doctor did postpone her own treatment long enough to perform surgery on that little boy. She donated her skills and her time in a gift of compassion and sacrifice. Her husband, the cynical reporter, well, he ended up writing the article just the way it had unfolded in front of him. And because of that, the whole community came together to give every penny that was needed for that little boy's hospital care. In the end, he was able to hear. He and his mother settled down here and are now part of this community today. Oh yes, the story is well known in these parts. People refer to it as the miracle on the square. Maybe because that's the title I gave it when I wrote it as a feature article for the local newspaper. The funny thing is, to me, the biggest miracle is how God, working in and through the hearts of people, broke down all the walls this hard-bitten reporter had built up. And he changed my life that Christmas. What happened to the doctor, my beautiful wife? Well, you can ask her yourself.
Did I get here in time?
They just finished practicing the last song. Well, as you can see, God healed her and she made a full recovery. I since retired from the newspaper business a few years back. Now I spend all the time I can raising money for other kids who need surgery they can't afford. In fact, if you'd like to buy a cup of coffee or hot chocolate or maybe one of these snazzy star Christmas beamers, well, that's where all the money goes.
Oh, good, you made it. We're about to start.
Seems like this year's little drummer boy has arrived just in the nick of time.
Another drummer boy crisis?
It's like this every year.
Did you remember to bring the drum?
Got right here.
Awesome. You all ready, buddy? Grandma is so proud of you. Did you know that your dad played this part on this very same drum the night that he and I got into this town? He did. So you just play it like Dad showed you and you will be fine.
Bye, buddy. Have fun.
Bye, Dad.
just want to say thank you to all your parents for allowing your children to participate in the children's play, as well as those adults who participate in adults' play. It's been an exciting preparation time, as Miss Ruth mentioned. We've persevered, we've made it through, and we hope that you enjoyed the show and that you'll come help us out another time. There'll be another plays, more singing, more fun things to do, and more ways to give praise for everything. If it's not for us, it's not for each other. It's for the meaning of the season. Jesus, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Hello and Merry Christmas. I'm Dorothy Ibarra. I'm the Music Ministry Director and the Pastoral Team Liaison for the Performing Arts Ministry. The Performing Arts Ministry means a lot to our entire parish, and I want to thank all the people who participate in it, most particularly our board members and our director of our play, Fernando Villafranca. We had a challenging time this past year, but we made it through. And I'm so proud of each and every one of the actors and cast and crew who helped put these musicals on. I do want to mention that we, as Ruth mentioned before, we do survive on donations and our fundraising efforts. We are not a line item budget item in the parish budget as of yet. So anything that you can help us with would be much appreciated. And we appreciate our sponsors of the ads that were placed that you'll see trailing this program. Please take a moment to thank them, and even better, patronize their business or their service. They help us stay afloat every year. Some of them have been putting in ads for 20 years almost. So we really appreciate you. And I appreciate our video crew and our sound crew, especially for going through all the extra effort to put the video recording on so that we can present it not only to the parish and the local community, but to the world. So, Merry Christmas, world.
Greetings. As the president of the St. Brigid Performing Arts Ministry, I would like to thank you on behalf of the whole ministry, fondly known as Pam, for watching our 2020 Christmas musicals. Pam has been blessed to be able to present a musical every Christmas and Easter for the last several years, made possible by the generous gifting of time, talent, and love donations. As we all know, 2020 has been hard on everyone, and Pam is no exception. So we ask that you visit our St. Brigid website to learn how you can give a love donation to our ministry. In July, when it came time to start thinking of our Christmas program, the Performing Arts Board was faced with the decision on whether it would be possible to present a program this year. We prayed and made the decision that whether we would be able to personally perform for the community or not, we would begin the process as usual in hopes that by December we would be able to have a live audience. We found a couple shows we believed would be excellent choices to not only be fun to present, but also bring a message of what Christ means for our world. You have heard Christ is the reason for the season, and these programs bring this message to the stage. How the Grinch Found Christ in Christmas brings a new perspective to the story of the Grinch and how his heart grows 3 sizes that day, because Christ is the reason for the season, not the decorations or the presents. The second show, It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, brings us a message of the goodness and generosity of strangers to a woman and son who put their trust and faith in God to provide the help they needed. Similar to our essential workers bringing their thoughtfulness and willingness to help strangers through these hard times today. These programs were chosen not only for their messages, but also because they have smaller casts and made it easier to follow the CDC guidelines. I want to take a little time to give an enormous thank you to Fernando for taking on the huge task of directing both plays. This is his first time directing, and he planned to only be an assistant. However, his mentor had to back out, and he took it all on as director like a trooper. The casts of both programs, put so much of their time and trust in the Lord to be ready to perform even during knowing the struggles they faced. As December grew closer, we were faced with the hard decision of what to do next: continue or postpone once again. Yes, there were times when everyone wanted to throw in the towel, but because we believe in the good that this ministry gives, it was a no-brainer that we would continue to do whatever we could to bring the shows to as many people as we could, which brought us to the possibility of recording and presenting the programs on YouTube. So it is with the generosity of numerous St. Brigid members and their many talents that we are able to bring these performances to you this way. This year has also been a hard year. I'm sorry. This year has also been a hard year in the loss of many loved ones. We want to honor one of our lost loved ones by dedicating these performances to him, Ron Votley. We very recently lost our beloved Ron. Ron was a man who was a strong believer that music and the performing arts are not only fun to do, but are an important way to bring us closer to God every day. As the saying goes, singing is praying twice. And I think Ron also believed that not only were you praying twice by singing, you were praying thrice when performing along with the singing. He was a strong contributor in bringing the performing arts ministry to life and growing it from choir performances to full-blown musicals for both Easter and Christmas. It has been an honor to be a part of this ministry throughout the years, and it is our prayer that Pam will continue to grow with more and more people becoming involved to bring exciting and important messages to those people who are searching. We are always needing more people to become involved with the ministry, whether it be someone on stage or behind the scenes. It takes a lot of people to put one of these shows on, and every year we find the need for more people to get involved. We would love to have you become a part of our performing arts ministry. We are planning to have additional activities throughout the year that anyone interested in learning more about the ministry will have a chance to dip their toes in the water, so to speak, and start to learn how to swim. We hope you enjoy these performances and find it in your heart to pass it on to your friends and family to bring joy to anyone struggling with the hardships we are forced to face during this pandemic. Merry Christmas and God's blessings to you all.